So don't take that.
We won't take the...
Yes, let's be the
Pods.
in Springfield.
Episode 47 of Pods.
In the key.
Oh,
Springfield.
Springfield.
We're back, baby.
Baby.
For season 5.
And today we
Pods
are...
in the key of Springfield.
Pods of the Key of Springfield. We are starting from the very beginning. That's the very best place
We're starting from the beginning.
to start.
Are we going to be talking about Simpsons roasting on an open fire again?
Let me tell that again.
Okay,
Today
who is that guy?
Shut up. We are starting from the beginning of season 5, because the beginning is the very best place to start. See, it doesn't quite have the same rhythm.
Okay, I get you.
Season 5, episode 1, Simpsons roasting on an open fire, featuring Norm Watch.
Yeah, where's Norman?
Where's Norman?
Greg Norman. Famed golf player.
Golfist.
Yes.
Season 5, episode 1, Homer's Barbershop Quartet.
Yes.
And season 5, episode 2, Cape Feare.
Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, I got some things to say about these episodes, which is good because we're recording a podcast about them.
Mm-hmm.
If I had nothing to say, it'd be a problem.
That would be a problem.
What I would like to...
Because that would make you me. And this podcast can't have...
me?
This podcast can't have two of me's. As a matter of fact, this podcast can barely sustain one of me.
Now, I got a special little memory of Homer's Barbershop Quartet.
Yes.
You know how I used to be a child? Like when I was a little boy?
I mean, I don't know that I knew you in 1999. No, before that, 97 probably.
Did you meet me in 97?
Maybe 98. Let's say 98.
Okay, well...
So I knew you when you would have been, what, 12 at that point? 98?
98? I was like
10.
9, I think.
9. 8.
10? 11?
7.
When was I born? 87? I would have been 10 for most of that year.
10 turning 11. Let's just shout numbers at each other. 15.
Okay, I said, hey, what's going on? Now, okay, so watching The Simpsons as a young lad, we got the show quite a bit later than they did in the US. I think we were maybe 2 years behind.
2 years?
Well, what I'm getting at is that this
Doesn't
episode...
that just seem unacceptable to you now?
Yeah, but we didn't even know.
Yeah,
we had no way of knowing. We didn't have the internet. We barely had an intranet. Back in 1995, this episode debuted on Australian television. This is the first episode I remember watching and being conscious of the fact that it was a brand new episode that had never been on TV before.
Oh, interesting.
Because I'd watched the reruns of The Simpsons.
Sure.
But this is the first time I remember being excited, like, oh, there's a new season of The Simpsons, episodes I have not seen before. Mamma mia.
You'd watch the reruns, but you were getting ready to watch a run.
Yeah, exactly.
That is exciting.
So this was I was very excited for this episode, and I'm sure as an 8-year-old I got all the Beatles references.
I'm sure you would have. Revolver came out in 1966. This was in 1995. You've had a lot of time to prepare.
Yeah, that was the only Beatles reference that I knew back then.
Isn't it interesting thinking back to, because I was thinking about this the other day, about the revelations I had about things as I was growing up, specifically TV-related things.
Sure.
I remember Thomas the Tank Engine. When I saw in the end credits it had something to do with United Kingdom, and I was like, wait, you mean this isn't Australian? And even though all the voices in that are very British, I just assumed that well, it's on my TV, I'm in Australia, it's probably Australian.
Yeah, what else is there?
Exactly. And so it just had this weird moment of going, fuck, that's strange. I didn't realise I was watching things from other countries.
Things come from other places?
I know it sounds ridiculous now, but it was genuinely confusing as a kid.
No, that makes sense to me. I thought all kinds of dumb shit.
There was another realization I remember having, and it was to do with the Looney Tunes cartoons, where I think it was when I just figured out what Roman numerals were, maybe.
Wait a minute, that's not a woman, that's just Bugs Bunny dressed up.
Why does Elmer Fudd fall for that very, very furry, bunny-shaped woman?
Hey, he's trying to hunt rabbits here. He should stop trying to flirt with that woman.
But also, if he is a wabbit hunter, we would presume from that he has a fairly good knowledge of the form and shape of a wabbit, because he's got to look for them.
I mean, you would think so.
Dishwasher's arcing up again.
Yeah. Dishwasher's got something to say. big Looney Tunes stan.
But Stan?
Stan. Yeah.
What?
Don't worry.
I won't. But yes, Looney Tunes. I remember figuring out Roman numerals or learning them or something, and then figuring out that the Looney Tunes that I just watched was from like 1958 or something. And it blew my mind because I just assumed, well, it's on my TV now. This must have been made like last year.
Yep.
And maybe this is just because it was on my TV at the time, but I never thought, wow, this animation style looks really old fashioned. All the design choices are a very 1950s idea of what the future is. Like if you look at Duck Dodgers in the 24th and a half century now, it looks like a very retro idea of what the future is, right?
Yeah, way more ducks than there's likely to be with climate change.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Put the stupid thing in reverse. But the realization that I was watching things from different countries and different times was an interesting one. So I like to imagine that you were like, whoa, wait a minute. You mean this thing I've been watching reruns of is still going? Man, I hope this show goes forever. And Jekyll, I hope you're fucking happy.
Well, the finger on the monkey's paw did actually turn inwards when I wished that. So, I should have known.
And it's 85 years later, and they show no signs of slowing.
Yeah, it's been... We're recording this on the same day we recorded our Citizen Kane episode for a bit of context. So, once again, season 30 has just premiered today. I don't think they've actually renewed it for 31 yet. So, this could be interesting. There's a lot of talk with the Disney acquisition of Fox about whether they'll actually want to keep The Simpsons going. There has been some speculation they'll largely keep it going as a movie franchise.
Did Disney acquire Fox?
Yeah, that's in the process right now. And
sure.
I think they've kind of soft announced The Simpsons movie 2 at this point.
Right.
Which is maybe a thing we should have talked about on this podcast.
Who cares? If it's going to become a movie franchise, does that mean it's going to become like the Star Wars thing where alternate years of main movies and B movies?
Oh, possibly.
Because a Simpsons movie every year would get, how do I say, fucking tedious.
A Simpsons episode every year is a bit much for me at this point.
That's a good point.
So,
and luckily, I mean, of the brand new stuff, luckily you and I are only tracking one a year.
Yeah.
Thanks to our annual appearances on the Simpsons Index, an online spreadsheet, which is also a podcast.
Even then, the last episode we watched was, 2 years old, I think?
Oh, yeah, it probably was.
Now, because this is the Barbershop Quartet episode, I think it's appropriate, Nick, to finally reveal that your surname is Nick de Beaumarchais.
Yes.
Yes.
And that makes me a member of Spandau Ballet?
Does it?
Is that what that's a reference to?
I've got no idea.
Oh, okay.
I don't know enough about Spandau, nor do I know enough about the ballet. So Spandau Ballet is a total mystery to me, James. The other member of Poznaniki of Springfield. That's my name.
Sure.
By the way. So this episode...
sorry. There's a hotel in Paris called Hotel Caron de Beaumarchais.
Okay.
I thought there was a member of Spandau Ballet called...
Living it up at
I thought there was
de Beaumarchais.
I thought there was a Simon de Beaumarchais, is what I'm thinking of there.
Maybe it's Simone de Beaumarchais.
Maybe it's Simone Beauvoir.
Yeah, maybe.
Renowned existentialist author.
Yeah, sure. It could be. This episode opens with 3 couch gags.
3.
We get the take 1, the take 2, the take 3. I don't know if that means they were short on time or if they're just overflowing with couch gag ideas at this point.
This is it. Oh, never mind.
What?
I was about to make an interesting point, but then check my notes and realised the interesting point was for the next episode, not for this one.
Okay.
The couch gag where they mush together and become plasticine, that's always freaked me out a bit.
Yeah. It's weird. It's kind of what's happening to us as well.
Becoming plasticine or mushing together?
Well, the other day you patted me on the shoulder and your hand sort of melted with my shoulder for a bit and it took a while to pull it apart. Every time we make contact now, we sort of melt together in an unfortunate way and it takes longer and longer to pull each other apart.
I don't really recall any of that.
Okay, that's probably for the best.
Should we, as we're about to go into Homer's Barbershop Quartet...
a mere 12 minutes into this recording, yeah.
Yes. The episode in which we see, Homer join the Barbershop Quartet.
Yeah.
A journey
I'm telling you, it was mighty nice.
A journey which echoes that of the Beatles. Is it worth flagging that later on, several series ahead of us, is that 90s show where they do Homer in the Nirvana-style grunge band called Sadgasm, which not only completely rewrites the history of Homer's debut into the music scene, but also completely rewrites how him and Marge met, because apparently Homer and Marge meet in the 90s while Homer was playing in a grunge band, as opposed to in the 70s while at school.
I don't know if I've ever said this on the podcast, but my hot take on all of this, I've seen that episode, but it's been ages. I remember it being like bad but inoffensive to me, but my take is The Simpsons would have had a better shot at staying good and relevant if once the year 2000 hit, they just kept The Simpsons based in the 90s forever. That's my position. I stand by it.
Interesting. I'm not sure that I'm ready to get on board with it, but
because I think
I respect
continuing to modernize Edge is one of the things that has harmed the show in the long run.
Exactly. And I mean, if they had taken on our position of the egg flip universe, in which we see all possible timelines at once existing in the gooey, proteiny middle.
I mean, you say if they took it on. I mean, that's what's happening, isn't it?
No, but I think they need to get on Front Street with it. They need to get on the front foot, and then on their front foot have a little note that says Egg Flip Universe. So that when the front foot walks towards you, you go, there's a little note stuck to there. Oh, Egg Flip Universe. Oh,
yeah.
I believe that's what the phrase on the front foot means. So
Sure.
I think they need
What about
to...
the front street, which is also a thing you said?
Yes, they need to get on Front Street with it. So by that I
How
mean...
much is that worth on the Monopoly board?
There is no Front Street on the Monopoly board. I was looking at... What was I doing the other day? I was thinking about Monopoly. Oh,
You were visiting Trafalgar Square?
I wish. I was visiting Mayfair. I went there with $400. Apparently that's not enough to buy the entire street of Mayfair.
You've been misled.
Right. There was a... Oh, I was thinking about in the early 2000s when there was that iteration of Monopoly where instead of having cash, you had a little credit card.
Oh, yeah.
And then there was a machine that you'd swipe and it said what your money was, and then the bank could give you more if you made a loan for the bank. And I was just like, what an interesting thing that the entire gimmick of the redesign of this game was, now it's credit cards.
Yeah.
And every other mechanic of the game stayed exactly the same. I find that really interesting.
What happened to that version of the game? Can you still buy it?
I think you can still buy it.
They've probably got like a Pay Pass version by now?
Oh, probably.
Or a Pay Wave version?
Or there might even be a Venmo version where it's all done through a texting app.
Or PayPal, where every time you land on a property, you just have to like text the person next to you and say, hey, what's your PayPal? I need to send you the money. And then they take like a full day to send it and you forget to send them the money.
And then there'll be a transaction fee that's taken out.
Yeah, like a heavy transaction fee as well. Higher than it should be.
I remember once I was selling some stuff on Gumtree.
This is still a podcast about The Simpsons, by the way.
I'll get there.
Yeah.
I was selling some stuff on Gumtree, and the person said, oh, well, I don't really like doing bank-to-bank transfers. I prefer the security of PayPal. And I'm like, oh, all right, send it to me by PayPal then.
Maybe.
And then when the money arrived in my account, I'm like, well, now I've got $15 less than I should have because we went through PayPal, and I don't get the benefit of the extra 15.
Yeah, you got to charge extra if you're going through PayPal.
Yeah, I didn't know that at the time.
Yeah, neither did I. So...
Right.
Anyway, Oyster Lucy. They go to a swap meet at the very start of this episode.
Yes.
In the first, minute of the episode.
Yep.
And we got Mo hockeying Oyster Lucy, which is discarded oyster shells painted to look like Lucille Ball.
Yes.
Who's just got to meet Bob Cummings. Meh.
Yes.
I like that bit.
I don't understand the noise at the end.
Yeah, me neither. I think it's just, it feels like a thing that I would do, so I like it.
It does feel like a thing you would do.
It's a very James moment from Mo there.
I would like, if I was going to suggest something that the screenwriters could have done better in this, sorry, not the screenwriters, the signwriters. So there's, Oyster Lucy by Mo. Oh, no, it says Handicrafts by Mo. Sorry.
Yeah.
Handicrafts by Mo is a big sign above his head. What I would really like is a sign that he's advertising that says... the pearl inside the oyster can pick up radio signals, and that would have been an excellent little Easter egg to the story about Lucy getting fillings in her teeth and then driving past the radio tower and being able to hear, allegedly, the radio through her teeth because she said she was picking up the signals from the antenna.
I have not seen that episode of I Love Lucy.
Nope. This was a story she told on late night TV.
I have not heard that story from
Lucille Ball.
Lawless.
Lucille Ball. And her husband, Desi Arnaz. Is that going to become a new running thing where we say every now and then we'll both say Jersey Arnez in perfect synchronicity?
I don't see why it would be.
No, she claimed that she had a feeling that she could, that was picking up radio signals. It wouldn't have been. It's impossible. But she said it. So it would have been nice to have a little joke to that.
I feel like that is a running concept in culture, the idea that feelings can pick up radio signals.
And I think it came from Lucille Ball.
Ah, interesting. I like the religious trading cards that Flanders is giving away. I think that's an inherently very funny concept.
What I want to know, though, did Flanders make them all? Or is there a company that does religious trading cards?
That's
and
an interesting thought.
He was just
because
sharing
he's giving them away for free as well. Like he's trying to just get a bit of product out there, so he can gouge people later, I suppose, on these homemade. trading
so is
cards.
it one of those things where the first hit's free and then the price just keeps?
Then
getting...
the booster packs are like $7 each.
The booster
and you just
packs?
keep getting Methuselah over and over again.
Oh, damn that! I mean, I've got so many Methuselahs.
Yeah, you got that. You got that holographic Moses though that you're very fond of, and everyone's just hoping for the Christ card.
And then I've got the digital expansion pack where it's a little bit like that was it the Skylanders game where you had different little things that you sit in the dock and that changes the way that you can play the video game.
Yep.
And you put in little digital Moses and it says, "Let my pixels go."
Oh shit!
I was working fucking overtime to find a setup there.
There's probably a market for that.
What, a religious Skylanders? An Old Testament Skylanders? Fucking
Yeah, I don't
great.
see why not.
Oh, that's kind of fun.
You could call it God Mode, which is actually already the name of a game, but that game's been largely forgotten by history. So
I see. And then you could get the King Herod expansion pack, but you only get to keep half of it. Was it King Herod that threatened to cut the baby in half?
yeah, either you buy it and you either have to split it with another person, or the true owner will offer to give it away.
Yes.
Yeah. Did you ever play Super Noah's Ark 3D on the Super Nintendo?
No, but that sounds fucking amazing.
It's a game that existed. It was like Doom, but you were pacifying animals on an ark.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Oh, to play the Steam version on PC, if you want to upgrade to do the Moses pack, you need to part the C drive.
Nick, you're making me very cross.
Sorry.
Skinner was in an internment camp.
Sorry, James. I'll crucifix that for you.
Oh, good. I don't know which listenership we've just lost, but it's one of them.
Good riddance to him.
Jesus. So Skinner puts on his internment camp hood thing.
Yeah,
and that's fun.
That's I think my words were, well, that's brutal.
Yeah.
So not only do we find out he was in a prisoner of war camp for 2 years, wearing a helmet through which he could see through a grill, and had no other way of moving. But he to then be reacquainted with it and to almost have a sense of like nostalgic love for it.
Yeah.
I found that very surprising.
And then
Also, his prisoner number was 24601, which I believe is another reference to Les Miserables.
I believe you're thinking of A675309.
Oh yeah, sorry. 24601 is a reference to Jenny. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, 13166. That's Pizza Hut delivery.
Oh, sorry, I'm getting confused with 13227. Go yellow.
Yeah, the taxi company.
The taxi company. Oh, Jesus.
Should we talk about the Barbershop Quartet?
Yeah, sure. Here's my question. In the first, like when we're being introduced to the Barbershop Quartet, we see them do basically the same song 3 times.
Yeah.
Is the joke there that they were a one-hit wonder, or is it just it's cheaper to record one Barbershop Quartet song than it is to record 9 Barbershop Quartet songs?
Well, I did feel like the first time we hear them sing "Goodbye, my Coney Island baby,"
Yep.
there's a voice in there that doesn't sound like any of them.
Yep, there's Edna Krabappel's voice that stands out pretty clearly above the rest.
It's strange.
And I just wonder if she's maybe the strongest singer, so she had to dress up as Skinner.
Huh. That's an interesting thought. Seems like it's largely unaddressed, but Skinner looks no different. The other characters don't look different at all. Homer looks a little different. He's got more hair.
Yes.
Kids look a little different because they're little babies. And then Flanders has a slightly different mustache, which I thought was interesting. It's a bit pokier.
I didn't notice the Pokemo.
Yeah. Pokemon, one of my favorite video game series.
The N is silent. It's Pokemon.
Gotta catch them, Al. That's the catchphrase.
Gotta catch them, comma, Al. Oh, that shouldn't be as funny to me as it is.
I love the scene where Wiggum is acting like a pooch.
Have you caught the Pikachu?
Yeah, sure. I really like Charmandy.
Charmandy.
Yeah.
Charmandy. Cool Mo D.
And Bulbasaur, which is a pig. Now, I like this.
A pig in the Star Wars universe. Bulbasaur.
Yeah, sure. I like the scene where Wiggum's sticking his head out the car, panting like a dog, and then he goes, let go, and he howls at the moon.
Yeah.
In the next episode, we hear a wolf howl. Maybe it's Wiggum again.
Oh, when Grandpa thinks the wolves are after him, maybe it's the Wiggums are
Maybe
after
the
him.
wolves are after him. Maybe Wiggum is out on the hunt.
He's actually gone full wolf.
Yeah, makes sense to me.
I mean, it happened to Bart when he was trapped down that well.
Yeah. By the way, this whole driving him out and just letting him go in the country, if I ever need to replace you on this podcast, that's my plan.
All right.
Just drive you out to the country and leave you be.
I'm never going to get in your car again.
Sure.
I don't think I've ever been driven around by you anyway.
No, that's true.
It's all right. This plan sorts itself out.
Yeah. Now, Nick,
Yes.
you're a banderman. You've been in some bands. Have you ever been in a barbershop quartet?
I have not been in a barbershop quartet.
Why not?
I'm not a strong enough singer to be in a barbershop quartet,
Okay.
and no one else that I know is a strong enough singer to be in a barbershop quartet.
And what is a barbershop quartet exactly? Why do they call it? Do they sing at barbershops? Is that the idea?
I think they used to. I think that's where it started.
Okay.
Either that or they were... maybe the way that they dress is how barbers used to dress.
Seems like a possibility.
Or maybe they just used to spin around on the pole that's out the front of the barbershop. The red, white and blue spinning pole.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't really know. Would you like me to look it up?
No.
No.
No. But if anyone else out there is interested, you can look it up and then you'll have that information. Part of the reason why it's not in this podcast.
Yes.
Because if you're deeply invested in that fact, easy to find out. Now, when they're doing the auditions for the new members,
Yes.
and Wiggum comes in dressed as Dr. Doolittle,
Yes,
and he says,
exactly.
"This bird's gonna fly." He jumps out the window, and I've always liked the fact that in the animation, he only takes 2 steps to get from the stage onto a piano and out the window. He's traveling, well, like 15 meters there?
Yeah, that is a he's got a long reach.
Yeah.
And actually,
A standing jump.
it reminds me a little bit of a Seinfeld scene. Over the end credits of, it might be the episode with the muffins, maybe?
Seinfeld, what show is that?
Oh, it's the early 90s animated sitcom with all the little yellow characters.
Oh, it's got like Bart, Lisa,
Yeah.
Marge,
And the little
Mr.
pig-
Burns.
And the pig man!
That's Susan.
No, but there's a scene where
Bubble Boy.
Wayne Knight, who plays Newman,
Yeah.
at the very end credits, you see him sprinting down the New York street scene. And for a bigger gentleman, he moves very fast and very gracefully. He's got a real fast run on him. Like almost like a balletic pointed toe type of run. It's really quite impressive. And I think Wiggum's got a bit of that about him because he just takes leap to the piano and then one swift move out the fucking window.
You can really see why he's an effective cop in this moment.
Yes, that's a really good point.
Yeah. All that leaping and prancing.
Speaking of which, like, you know, at this stage, you and I have no plans to do any type of live show because we do not have the listenership to justify it. But if we do ever get to do a live show,
Yeah.
we should exit the stage
This bird's gonna fly.
by leaping through a window.
Yeah.
We may need to fake it with the candy glass they use in movies rather than actually killing ourselves. but you know what? Well, maybe what we'll do...
Look, I'm pretty committed to this bit.
Maybe what we'll do is we'll have a fake window if the show goes well. And if the show... No, I'm not going to make that joke. 13, 11, 14.
Yeah.
If you're, in a hard time.
Yeah, let's avoid lacerations.
Yes.
Now...
Lazarus, however...
Yeah.
Very good trading card to collect in our Old Testament trading series.
Yeah, Lazarus, dig yourself. Lazarus, dig yourself. I want you to dig. Nick Cave song. How do you feel about Nick Cave? Anyway...
I'm a huge fan.
There's a chant where they get Barney to replace Wiggum.
Yep.
And there's a crowd in Moe's Cavern, as it's called here.
Cavern.
chanting, Wiggum forever, Barney never.
Yes.
Weird little thing about this. There's an episode of the show Louie, the show by disgraced comedian Louis C.K., who I loved this show, but, Louis C.K., obviously, piece of shit. There's an episode in season 3, I think it's season 3, called Barney/Never. Because the first half is about him going to the wake of his friend Barney.
Sure.
And then the second half is about a child named Never, who he has to look after.
Sure.
Who I believe takes a shit in a bathtub. It's a good episode. I can't endorse, watching anything Louis C.K. has done, but I have seen the episode and really liked it. Robin Williams is in it, I believe, and it's called Barney/Never.
Interesting.
And I remember when that came out, going into the comment section on the AV Club review, and all the comments
started
were just,
with
Wiggum forever, Barney never.
Nice, I see.
That used to be a good comment section before they went to Kinja and fired all their good writers, or lost them somehow.
For a moment, I thought you were going to say that you went to the AV Club website and all the comments started with, by my calculations. And they
By
pushed
my
the glasses up.
calculations.
Yeah. Wiggum Forever, Barney Never. Obviously a reference to when Pete Best was kicked out of the Beatles and replaced with Ringo Starr.
Yeah.
Pete Best Forever, Ringo Never.
Yeah, that's exactly what they would charge.
And then
Ringo got up there and was like fairly competent, like, okay, fine, whatever.
And then after a couple of months, everyone went, Pete Best looks a little bit like a fucking zombie, doesn't he? He's got this weird, like, Frankenstein's monster quality to him.
Yeah.
Actually, he's a cross between... Pete Best is like a cross between a normal person and Lurch from the Addams Family.
The irony is that he came off Pete's second best in his competition with Ringo.
That's very good.
Yeah.
That's very good.
Oh, thank you. There's a joke in this episode, and this is interesting. This is the one joke Matt Groening says that he does not like on the show. It's the one scene he has like a serious objection to. I mean, he's said this before. I feel like it's kind of bullshit because, he's objected to entire episodes before.
Yes.
But the one joke he says he particularly doesn't like is when in the present day the car breaks down or the tire goes flat and Homer sold the spare tire, and in the next scene Marge is carrying the fucked tire and there's a sign saying gas station 12 miles.
Sure.
Matt Groening has said that is the one joke he doesn't like because he thinks it is too cruel to Marge.
Right.
That she is sent alone to fix the tire.
Interesting.
I think it's funny as like a bit of extremism in the episode.
I've always thought, to be honest, that it is cruel, but also someone needs to stay and look after the kids, and Homer's not going to be able to walk 24 miles.
Yeah.
Like, I that's how I've always justified that joke to myself. He just doesn't have the capacity to walk 24 miles.
And that's another case. I feel like 12 is the right number where it's like it's plausible you could do that walk.
Yeah.
It would just be uncomfortable.
I think 9 would also be a good option.
Ooh, 9.
Anything between 9 and 12 feels too fake. Like, you wouldn't go 10, and who would say 11? But 9 or 12, they're both good numbers.
I feel like 11 would kind of work.
Nah.
But 12, like an even number, is probably better.
Yeah. Except for 9.
13 would be awful. It would be a mistake.
No, you wouldn't do 13.
9 would 9 be better than 12? No, I think 12 is probably the best.
Interesting.
This is based on the assumption she would get a drive back.
Oh, that's a good point.
Because otherwise, 24 is a lot. 24 is cruel.
Yeah, that's true.
12 is, 12 is an anecdote.
I never even thought that she'd get a drive back. That's a good point. How long is 12 miles?
Several kilometres.
A handful. 12 miles. 19 kilometres.
Yeah, that's a long walk.
Yeah, that's a walk.
Like the Stephen King book, The Long Walk, which is about a long walk.
Off a short pier?
No, just down a road.
Down a road?
Yeah.
Sounds like thrilling fodder for a book.
It's actually a really good book. He wrote it was one of his Richard Bachman books. Okay, it's like a Hunger Games sort of scenario in that it's a bunch of kids walking, and the last one who is still walking at a certain pace doesn't get killed.
Right.
Yeah, it's good.
Okay.
It's like one of those sort of dystopian...
Oh, dystopian.
Well, if you just said that to begin with, you idiot. You klutz, you jerk. Now, I like the scene where Homer's trying to come up with a new song, and he sings, there was nothing in Al Capone's vault, but it wasn't Geraldo's fault. That's one of the jokes that took me like 20 years to actually learn the origin of.
Yes.
To learn that Geraldo had that special. Yes. He went to Al Capone's vault.
And there was nothing in there.
Yeah, which Geraldo now says basically kickstarted his career, and it was like very good for him because it was a rating sensation.
Yes.
And then he drank the red juice in there and gained special powers.
I didn't know that part.
No,
no, it's interesting because I remember like singing that line as a kid, not knowing what any of those words meant.
Yeah.
Good times.
And then Baby on Board, Something Something Burt Ward. I find I've often trailed off on songs with Something Something Burt Ward.
Oh, I know.
Never fails to get a suspicious look.
Usually from me.
Yeah.
I enjoy the press conference, which is, of course, a reference to when the Beatles landed in JFK Airport in 1964. I remember that because I'm a Beatles fan.
Yeah.
I've seen...
Did you know that was 20 years ago today that Sgt. Pepper told the band to play?
No way. That's fun. So some of the questions that they were being asked at this press conference are properly insane. So first question was...
Are you going to interview me here? Am I going to answer these questions?
No. I'm just going to tell you some of the highlights from this press conference. First question is, are you a little embarrassed by the lunacy you cause? And they all just say, no, it's great. We love it. And then the follow-up question is, so you're in favour of lunacy? What? That doesn't make any sense.
Staunchly.
And then in Detroit, Michigan, they're handing out car stickers that say, stamp out the Beatles. And Paul responds with, yeah, well, we're bringing out a Stamp Out Detroit campaign. And the question in response is, yeah, but what about the Stamp Out the Beatles campaign? And John's just like, what about it? And then, oh God, there was one here somewhere. One of the questions is, how many of you are bald and you have to wear those wigs? Ringo responds with, all of us are bald. It was a very weird interview, but not weird in like a Beatles subverted it kind of way. Weird in a, what the fuck are these American journalists doing?
That is interesting.
Very
what are you looking
strange.
at now?
One of the questions, and this is from a transcript where the start is, listen, I got a question here. Hey, Americans.
Hey, I got a question here, sir.
Hey, Americans, stop introducing the fact that you're about to speak and just speak.
You just watch Citizen Kane.
Can I just say, just go ahead and fucking say it. Anyway, listen, I got a question here. Are you going to get a haircut at all while you're here? They all say no, and then George Harrison says, I had one yesterday. Anyway, fucking weird little press conference. And that's what the press conference in this episode of The Simpsons reminded me of.
When my boy Homer has to tell Marge that he has to pretend not to have a wife.
Yes.
So that, because a lot of women will think they will want to have sex with him.
And we want them to think they can.
Yeah, so when he says this to Marge, Julie Kapner plays the distressed crying so well.
Oh, yes.
It is actually upsetting to hear her because it just sounds so genuine.
She's having a real wail.
Yeah, and retching. It's hard. It's hard going.
It is hard. It is hard.
In a way, I don't remember them ever like going that hard on that again.
On that particular issue.
On her crying that hard. We hear Marge crying, but not like wailing like she is there.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. This is probably the hardest and the loudest she cries. Interesting.
We get introduced to the new character Squiddy in this episode, who is a kraken with a belly full of gold.
Yes.
Can't wait to see what the future holds for that character. I feel like he's going to be a major player going forward.
I think there will be a story development arc. I don't know the terms of
I feel like if
film.
there is like a League of Villains in Springfield, which has been hinted at thus far and will be hinted at further in the future, I feel like Squiddy the Kraken is going to be part of it.
Who put the gold in Squiddy's belly?
That's what I was wondering.
Also, who put the bop in the bop shawop shawop?
That was Edward Clowns.
Edward Clowns. Alfred Gurns.
Yeah. I nearly said Edward Gurns. Not going to explain that reference. People can go and Google it.
The only note I have left is about the very last scene, the rooftop scene.
Okay, I got a bunch between. Yeah, I should just sort of run through them because we are already going long.
Yep.
This enormous woman will devour us all is a fun line. I like these jokes about people.
Is a fun line to shout.
I enjoy these scenes of The Simpsons where somebody overreacts to something and then jumps through or off something.
Yes, it is good.
This show really hates the Grammys. A lot of Grammys jokes in The Simpsons.
Yep.
They go hard in this one.
Which is one of those things that I've always found a little confusing because even though I generally consider myself someone who likes music stuff, I don't pay any attention to the Grammys because who cares about award ceremonies? And the idea about lashing out against award ceremonies is weird even for me, the guy that lashes out against literally everything.
Yeah, I always pretend that I'm not invested in the Oscars, and then I've never watched the Oscars, but I, for some reason, am invested in who wins. I like to follow it. I like to predict.
Interesting.
And usually it's fairly predictable.
Yes.
What else have we got here? Did you notice that Spinal Tap were at the Grammys?
I didn't notice that.
And have you noticed that I'm wearing a Spinal Tap shirt right now?
I did notice that, yes.
The problem with wearing a shirt like this that has, like, if you've seen the movie, it's a funny shirt, is that I walk past a lot of people forgetting I'm wearing the shirt, and they'll, like, look and, like, start laughing. Like, what the fuck's going on? What the hell laughing at? I look down, I'm like, oh, right, yes, of course.
It's good to
it's
have...
because of my funny appearance.
It's good to have self-esteem, isn't it?
George Harrison makes a cameo on this. One of the Beatles.
One of the Beatles.
Yeah, the one who has unfortunately passed on since The Simpsons began, and
which means the Beatles ended up getting 3 out of the Simpsons ended up getting 3 out of the 4 Beatles.
Yeah, because we'll get McCartney next season 7 maybe. And then we see Homer eating a bunch of brownies. Yeah, too fast. Too many brownies.
Oh, you think he might induce... he might have some kind of brownie consumption-induced problems? I mean, he might have a sore tummy.
I mean, look, there's 2 possibilities here, and only 2. 1, Homer is an unreliable narrator and is misrepresenting his brownie consumption.
Interesting.
2, the brownies kill Homer and the rest of the series is a death dream. Okay. I don't know which way I lean on this, but...
I reckon the second is more likely.
I mean, it does seem like a strong possibility to me. And I would bet on Homer being dead.
I see.
Homer's disinterest in the Grammys comes awfully fast. In fact, the denouncement of this episode really sort of speeds through it itself, I suppose. When the band is out of ideas and is singing for all the latest medical poop, it's called Surgeon General C. Everett Koop.
Yes.
Koop Koopa-Doop or Poop Poopa-Doop?
Koop Koopa-Doop.
Okay, very good. Of the 2 songs... which do you think is better? Number 8 or number 9?
What?
The Beatles song or the B-Sharp song?
Probably number 9.
Yeah?
It's got a bit more going on.
Does it?
Yeah, I think so.
Number 9. Number 9.
Yeah.
Number 9. It's just that for like 15 minutes, isn't it?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. And the single plum, floating perfume, served in a man's hat?
Yes.
Very good joke.
Very good joke.
Yeah. Now, what's your last note?
My last note is, according to the outfits on the rooftop scene, Homer is Ringo and Barney is John. I'm not quite sure that I agree with those matchups.
No? Who would Homer be?
I don't know. I'm just not sure I'm comfortable with Homer as Ringo, because he's wearing the big red kind of raincoat thing, which is what Ringo was wearing. And then, Barney had the kind of green fluffy jacket, which I think's what John was wearing. I didn't actually look this up. I'm just going off memory. But... I'm not 100% sure that I'm okay with Barney as John, and I'm definitely not okay with Homer as Ringo.
Nah. I can't imagine Homer having blisters on his fingers more than I could imagine the other 3 characters, though.
Interesting.
And the reunion is strange because it seems like they all just stayed friends with Homer, and there should be no reason why they wouldn't have gotten together earlier.
Yes.
To jam.
It's a very interesting point.
Yes.
Season 5, Episode 2, Cape Fear.
Cape Fear.
Maybe...
Dun, 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 dun. Yep.
I was talking a couple of weeks ago about how the circus intro, I recognised that... when I was a kid, I associated that with good episodes. And then I said, well, actually... I've now realised that it's an episode they tend to use... an intro they tend to use on episodes that need some filler.
Yep.
Generally, the very short episodes are not the very good ones. This might be a bit of a anomaly there. But I wonder if this is the reason that made me think the circus intro was a sign of a good episode.
Strong possibility. Every time I've seen that circus intro, I've thought, this is probably Cape Fear.
Yeah.
And when I was younger, until fairly recently, actually... I was talking to you before we started recording, or possibly when we started. That was like 40 minutes ago, I don't remember. But I was talking about how sometimes you have to look at, like, the things you feel about certain media properties and consider, like, do I still feel this way, or did I just decide a long time ago,
Sure.
this is my view and I've held on to it? For a very long time, Cape Fear was the episode that I said was the best episode of The Simpsons.
Sure.
For a very long time. And I think this episode fucks. I'm giving it the fucks rating.
Yeah.
But,
Oh, you've got F.U.C.K.S.
yeah. It's
Wow.
more of an emphasis after each letter than an acronym or an initialization, but it fucks. What I'm thinking is, the reason this was my favorite episode is because it is so extremely cartoony that I think that really appealed to me as a kid.
I can see that being a thing.
I would always tell people that my favorite episode was the one where Sideshow Bob tries to kill Bart.
Yes.
And they would say, which one is that? There's a bunch of episodes like that. And then they would shit themselves. And I'd always get annoyed because of the smell of shit, but also because this is the only episode where Bob actively tries to kill Bart until later on.
Sure.
For the first, 8 seasons, I think this is the only one. And when we talk about it maybe running a bit short, because there is a lot of stuff stretching out on this one, I did not look into this to confirm at all. My gut feeling is maybe they could only get Kelsey Grammer for like a day.
Possibly. Because some of the... I mean, not only is it the circus intro, which tends to be for a shorter episode, but some of the jokes, they really take their time on.
Yeah. Which I love and appreciate.
Yes,
Totally.
Totally. I really enjoy when Lisa gets a pen pal from her friend Anya, who's living in a country that's just had a government overthrow, because I love that it finishes with, all hail Kroll, sincerely, little girl.
All hail Kroll and his glorious new regime.
Oh, sorry, and his glorious new regime.
Yeah.
Sincerely, little girl.
Which is actually, I've got this American pen pal, and this letter that I've just received is very distressing.
Very good.
Have you seen, I don't know why I'm asking you this, have you seen the movie Cape Fear?
No.
Either the original with Gregory Peck or the remake with Robert De Niro?
Gregory Peck.
Yeah, he plays the dad in the first one, and then I don't remember
Atticus
who
Finch.
plays... Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a movie about how, it's about racism. He gets up and he defends Tom Robinson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm surprised I had the name Atticus Finch locked and loaded and ready to go.
It's a very popular literary name, but yeah.
Well, okay.
It's good. Scout, Jam, they're all there.
Scout. Fucking... No, I haven't seen any of the Cape Fears.
Okay, because this is largely a parody of the Scorsese one, the Robert De Niro playing the bad guy. And it is pretty much note for note the movie at times. The soundtrack is lifted pretty directly from the movie. A lot of individual scenes like, oh yeah, this is the scene from the movie. Less Robert De Niro in this episode than there is in the movie, but...
Interesting call there, man.
Yeah. So as we go through this episode, talking about the things that happened, every now and then I'll say, this is from the movie Cape Fear. And you'll say, there's a movie named Cape Fear?
Well,
my word.
My first note is about what we see in the episode of Itchy and Scratchy. So,
Yep, spay anything.
Was there an episode of Itchy and Scratchy in the Scorsese Cape Fear?
There was actually in that one.
Oh, that's curious.
Yeah, it's a really weird one actually because it's basically Taxi Driver, but it's Itchy and Scratchy, and it goes for a full 25 minutes of the movie.
Taxi and Scratchy.
Yeah.
So, Itchy is standing in front of a sign that says, "We spay your pet $75."
Yep.
But he's standing in front of the S, so it looks like we pay your pet $75.
Yeah, hilarious.
Scratchy walks along and goes, "Fucking $75. How good's this? I'll walk in here and get $75 of free money."
Yeah.
Here's my question: to whom is Scratchy a pet?
Oh, I was thinking the same thing. I think Scratchy is simply trying to pass himself off as a pet.
Oh, he's trying to pass himself off.
He
as
doesn't
a pet.
expect he's going to get his dick lasered off. He just wants to go in there and, he's going to fake it till he makes it. And by make it, I mean $75 is what he's going to make.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. I mean, it's one of the,
Instead, he gets ripped to shreds by a laser.
Yeah, because there are lots of, in various cartoon worlds, there are lots of interesting pet / character dichotomies, like, Goofy and Pluto. The only difference between them is Goofy is wearing pants, so he's a character in the town, and Pluto, who looks exactly the same, is a pet.
Yep.
And so I thought it was interesting that Scratchy either is a pet to an owner that we never see, or was,
I think he's a grifter.
Passing, interesting.
Yeah, that's my take.
Interesting.
Yeah, Scratchy little grifter. So Bart's getting a bunch of threatening letters in the mail. They're saying, like, I'm going to kill you, baby, things like that. And he says at the table, when they've got them all laid out, who would want to kill me? I'm this century's Dennis the Menace.
Sure.
Which is funny for a few reasons. One, because, of course, Dennis the Menace is of that century. But also, I remember reading something ostensibly written by Matt Groening. I think it might have been in a Simpsons comic even. It was like a thing by Matt Groening about the first time Dennis the Menace was on TV. Mm-hmm. And he was really excited. He was seeing like the promo materials for this show. He's like, this kid's a fucking anarchist. He's going to tear shit up. This is what I've been waiting for. This is the original bad boy of television. I am going to eat this up like strawberry pudding. And then...
Dennis the Anarchist is a show that I would watch.
And then Dennis the Menace comes on TV... And he's like a fairly like responsible child. He's like dressed well. He's got his slingshot, but he's not like shooting people with it. And Matt Groening's like, come on, give me that sweet release of just madness and mayhem. I want to see Dennis the Menace fucking kill someone. But Dennis the Menace is, not the
pretty tame,
not the anarchist maniac that Matt Groening needed.
No.
So when he went to make The Simpsons, he's like, all right, my character's going to tear shit up. My little buddy boy, he's going to be the original bad boy from hell.
Sure.
And then Bart's fairly sanitized as well, but it's fine. He's fun.
Yeah, no, everything's fine. It would have been great if Matt Groening's pitch for The Simpsons was like Dennis the Menace, but an absolute fucking out of control, raucous nightmare.
Just a real gutter rat of a kid.
Gutter rat.
Yeah.
Excellent. Just a real bin rat of a kid.
Yeah. This is the kind of, kid who's going to, put acid in the punch and, I don't know, like...
Real acid?
Yeah, eat all of his neighbor's radishes, things like that. He's going to...
Of the radishes?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah. He's going to go hard. Hard.
They've been working, what is that like, was it a Cialis infused radish?
I don't know, man. He's just, Bart's the...
Bit of a Viagra
Bart's
drug
a
there.
bad little boy.
Whittle.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I feel...
Turns out, potentially not so little, because the girls are calling him fatty, fatty, fat, fat.
Yeah, they are.
In a scene that I hella fucking enjoy.
Yeah.
Well, the girls are calling you fatty, fatty, fat, fat, and Nelson's going to pull your pants down, but no one's going to kill you. Pants down. Fatty, fatty, fat, fat. Excellent timing.
Yeah.
Excellent timing.
Nelson's going to pull your pants down, and the girls are calling you fatty, fat, fat, fat. I'm Millhouse.
And what can you tell me about Red Dead Redemption 2 coming out in a month's time?
Or by the time this episode comes out, probably already out.
It's my video game.
If our download numbers are down, by the way, it will be because of that. Speaking of which, looking at the clock, the embargo from Assassin's Creed Odyssey runs out in 4 minutes. Should I talk about that on the podcast in 4 minutes?
You know that we're not releasing this for like 4 weeks, though.
Yeah, but I'd be telling you.
All right, you can tell me some stuff about Assassin's Creed. Is it the game that we invented, Cat Assassin's Creed, where you play as a cat?
Not yet, it's not, but I'm hoping that'll come up.
Amazing. Wouldn't that be great if it was a patch?
I mean, it's set in ancient Greece, so instead of Leonidas, you get Leonopus. It's a whole thing.
Very good, very good.
This ep takes forever to get to Sideshow Bob, and I kind of love it. I love the stretched out, like, the mystery element of, like, who's trying to kill Bart, who's putting Wipeout on the radio, why is Flanders, is Flanders going to kill him with those Freddy Krueger gloves?
Sure.
Walking around, wearing a sweater, calling everyone bitch, like Freddy Krueger.
Bit harsh.
What was Moe doing with those pandas? Do you have a theory on this?
I do think it's interesting. There's a recurring theme of Moe just keeping endangered animals in the back room of the bar. I don't have a theory on what he was doing with the pandas. He hadn't even taken them out of the box, which is one of the things I find most baffling.
Yeah, that is weird.
Like, had they only just arrived?
I don't know. I think he's running some sort of bamboo-related grift, but I haven't figured out what it could have been. A lot of grifters in this episode.
But pandas are consumers of bamboo. You can't run a bamboo-related black market grift if the thing that you're holding consumes all the product.
Man, going like this morning, if you told me by the end of it you would be explaining to me why my plan for bamboo-related grift was flawed.
Then you would have thought, yeah, that sounds about right for our level of bullshit. Fucking hell.
Yeah, I'm surprised it's not worse.
Yeah. Now, who am I going to get to help me run this cocaine racket? What about the biggest cocaine addict I know? Now, James, please. This is just like the pandas thing. You cannot run a grift with someone who will consume all of the grift-based substance.
Look, but Nick, somebody who does a lot of cocaine is less likely to need us than somebody whose cocaine supplies are really low.
Ah, that's funny. Yeah. Oh, but Nick, have you heard how confidently this guy talks about his grifting abilities?
Yeah, that's why he keeps scratching at his skin and rubbing his finger across his teeth. Yeah. Now, the eventual reveal of Bob, very good. He's been using his blood to write notes.
Yes.
He passes out. Needs to be using a pen. Good advice for the everyday, I think.
I've been using a pen for all my notes.
Up until this episode came out when I was 8, I was writing most of my notes in blood, and this episode showed me there was another way.
The more you know.
Yeah, exactly. There's a sign at the front of Springfield Penitentiary that says America's fastest growing prison.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, that is, yeah. Fun being a relative term. It's a good joke.
Well, I mean, it might... are the prisons in Springfield privatised? Because maybe...
I think...
Because maybe it's one of those things where they privatise the prisons and then, as a weird roundabout way of... Well, not a roundabout way. A weird trickle-down effect of the economic crisis as you end up with more people getting imprisoned and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's a problem. Then we get the parole meeting. And there's a thing in here... We got the joke about Selma saying, he tried to kill me, I'm Selma. And then the lawyer saying, who in this room is thinking about killing her right now? And we've talked before, usually I don't like things like this, where they joke about Selma being unlikable. This one kind of works for me, because I feel like it would have worked regardless of who the character was.
Yes, because it's just an extremely brutal joke. And it's not dependent on any characteristic of Selma. It's just...
And then Patty also having a hand up because she leaves the toilet seat up kind of makes it for me.
Yeah.
I like that. I think it's a good, solid joke.
I want to know why the parole board is interested on providing censorship notes on Bob's statement. When he says...
pee-pee-soaked heck hole?
urine-soaked hellhole, and they say, we object to that. You could have said pee-pee-soaked heck hole, which to me sounds like making a joke at the idea of network censorship, saying we've got some notes on this episode, you use this, we want you to say that.
You said piss-soaked shithole, and that's not going to fly.
But why is the parole board, why do they give a fuck about what he's describing the prison as?
Well, aren't they I've always read that joke as them being annoyed at him describing the prison poorly, and then, the censorship is just like, that will sting less.
Maybe.
About prison.
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe it's because I was looking at it from a point of view of it's a commentary on network notes.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make any sense in that context. But you're right. Maybe they're just saying, don't besmirch our prison. But, I don't know.
I wonder if Die Bart Die is a popular tattoo now.
Oh, that's interesting.
Or at least The Bart Thee.
If I was going to get a tattoo, it would say The Bart Thee.
Would it?
Yeah, it would.
Yeah, you would get that tattoo?
I think I would, because I think that's enough of a weird a weird allusion to the actual tattoo. I wouldn't get it. I wouldn't get a full fucking chest piece.
Yeah, because you've already got that full chest piece of.
Yep. Please tell me what is my full chest piece tattoo of?
It's a picture of us recording this podcast.
Oh, aren't we having fun? And every time I go to say, hey, James, it's us, you're like, put your fucking shirt back on.
But the weird thing is, every time you pull the shirt up and I look at the tattoo, it's changed in subtle ways. Like, a painting in the background will have changed, or there'll be some eyes in the corner, but, you never get any extra work done, so we can't quite explain it.
You know, the interesting thing about that is that one of the first ideas I ever had for a tattoo was to just get the outline of a circle on my arm. Like, if you think of, the classic stereotype of, the mum tattoo with a heart and a dagger through it or whatever, where that goes on the outside of the upper arm, have just a black circle, and then I can just fill that in with whatever I feel like with a Sharpie. So some days I can just draw a stick figure with it, and that's the head. Some days that could be the happy smiling character, here is the sun. And then under it I draw a little doghouse.
Oh, yeah.
I like the idea of having a versatile tattoo that I just fill in with textures.
Being covered in Sharpie all day would be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Non-toxic.
Well, let's hope so. The film Ernest Goes Somewhere Cheap. That seems like a fun film.
Yes.
Did you ever watch the Ernest films as a kid?
No, I was too busy watching the Carry On films. Oh, matron.
Does that explain the subtle differences in our humour that I did watch the Ernest films and you watched the Carry On films?
Possibly. It's why my humour is much more 1960s bawdy English. Much more saucy. Oh, morning, Vicar.
For some reason...
Because sometimes all I need to sell a joke is someone in a British accent going, "Oh, morning, Vicar." And they go, fuck, that's funny. There's innuendo there.
For some reason, this time watching the episode, hearing the Jim Varney impersonator, I assume they didn't get Jim Varney in for this, but hearing him say, "Ooh, public library, let's see here for a while, Vern." For some reason, that made me laugh this time, and I cannot explain why.
Yeah, I don't know why you laughed at that either. I thought I'd missed something. I thought I'd missed a sign joke or something.
Possibly just mania sitting in. Possibly the fact that it's again a Cape Fear scene of him just singing a song and laughing really hard. But the inversion of Homer having the giant cigar and then laughing too hard is good. But it's just a shot-for-shot thing from the movie. This is parodying. That movie being Citizen Kane.
Citizen Kane.
Citizen Kane. Yeah, we didn't mention Michael Caine at all last episode.
Yeah, that's weird. If the last episode that we did, season 5, episode 1, if that was a barbershop band with 5 people and a Citizen Kane reference, it could have been called Homer's Barbershop Kane-tet.
Yeah.
Instead of Quintet. Quintet meaning 5.
Yeah. Yeah, okay.
Kane-tet.
Kane-tat.
Yep, that's all I had for that one.
Like Quartet from the Dark Tower series.
That one... I reckon there's probably a band called Homer Thompson at Terror Lake.
Yeah, probably.
I have a theory on just every now and then I'll do a Google search for certain phrases that come up in episodes and see if they turn into bands. I might spin that off into an Eat My Shorts because I did have a victory with a very odd phrase that turns out to be a
idea,
band.
actually.
Yeah, okay. Well, keep an eye out for that one because we might look into that.
Here's something I feel like you might have a position on.
Sure.
How do you feel about the extended Hello, Mr. Thompson bit?
My favourite bit about that is, I think he's talking to you. I use that line often in my life. The extended Mr. Thompson bit, it goes on a long time.
Yeah.
But the I think he's talking to you payoff is good enough for me to get on board with the whole joke.
I feel like the reason this works is because there have been moments in my life where I've witnessed people who are usually very intelligent, don't have major issues with things, just struggle with very simple shit for extended periods of time.
Yeah.
Without any real explanation or reason. Like despite the piece being super exaggerated, there's an underlying truth to it, I think.
Yes. Interesting.
Yeah. I also enjoy Homer imagining being John Elway. I always enjoy that in his dream they are losing the Super Bowl really badly.
Yes.
Yeah. That's a nice payoff.
Which I think I only just realised that in this watching. Because I was like, oh, wait a minute, it's the number 7 that's flashing, not the number 56 on the scoreboard. That means they lost really severely.
Yeah.
They were
pummeled.
They were beaten 8-fold.
Yeah. And also just the calls Homer is making that are just jumbled gibberish. I almost said gibberish.
Imagine.
Which is, I guess if you're talking about Quake, you're talking gibberish.
Interesting. I think it's the difference. I mean, some people say GIF, some people say GIF, some people say gibberish, some people say gibberish.
Yeah.
It's just so hard to know whether it's a soft G or a hard G. Am I going to the zoo to see the giraffe or the giraffe? Who knows?
The gibbon or the jibbin? Which
jibbin.
is it? Yeah.
I'd go see the jibbin.
Yeah. Is it Dunstan checks in or Dunstan check? No, that's not a thing. That was an orangutan, not a gibbon.
How's the Dunstan checks in reference?
Because we've been podcasting for a while, my mind is starting to not work so well. I was thinking about Dunstan checks in like a minute ago, and I've already forgotten the context. Just like, oh, you can work it in here, and then bring it in. I'm like, wait, no, you can't. This is not a Dunstan checks in moment.
And now over to Dunstan. I'm checking in.
He's checking in. I'm checking in.
See, we brought it back to The Simpsons.
And I guess now Dunstan has to check out.
And we were in the same house in senior school, and that was Dunstan.
Yeah.
In Dunstan.
Fuck. It's very convenient that they get assigned a houseboat in Terror Lake.
Houseboat.
Just so that they can do the Cape Fear on a boat scene from the end of Cape Fear, the movie Cape Fear.
Sure.
Which the episode Cape Fear is a parody of.
Houseboat.
Now, this got me thinking, though. The Witness Relocation Program puts them up in a houseboat. And I don't know if there's like a trade-off where their existing home, they get something roughly of equivalent value or less value. But I'm thinking, in the current economic climate in the real world, is it worth going into the Witness Relocation Program just to get a home?
That's an interesting point to make. Yeah.
Is that the easiest way to get a house?
I think it might be.
That's very grim.
That is grim.
So I
suppose, though, that you need to be witness to a crime so serious and severe that it requires relocation.
If you could do me the favour of just committing a very serious crime in front of me, I don't know, maybe we should keep an eye on Motorbike Mike.
Witness Relocation Program is actually one of those things that I have spent my entire life going, is that a real thing? Because on the one hand, it could just be a Hollywood construction. On the other hand, it could be a real program that every government does.
It's popped up in so many things, and surely it has to be real.
Yeah, I don't know. Because phone numbers that start with 555 have cropped up in a lot of things, and they're not real. They're a Hollywood device.
Yeah, but that's because you can't put real phone numbers into TV shows.
Yeah, but fictional concepts are fictional concepts. Like,
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know. Maybe I'm showing my ignorance. Maybe all the listeners at home are like, come on, Nick, I've been in the Witness Relocation Program for 5% too much.
Yeah, like 30% of our listeners are relocated witnesses.
Looking at you, Sam Lindsay.
God, I hope there's not some mobster after Sam.
Well, no, but Sam Lindsay's his relocated name. We haven't given away his true identity.
And then somebody from the Witness Relocation Program is listening to this episode. Damn it, I knew there was a part of that process I forgot.
Always change the name.
See?
And then just in the Sam Lindsay file, there's a piece of paper that says his new name is Homer Thompson. And it all comes together so mellifluously.
These are very specific references to one of our listeners.
One of our listeners. Sorry to all of the other 3 listeners.
Sergio Bob really takes a beating in this episode.
You know what feels so strange, though, about making those jokes? Is that I'm now like, do we have to go through and list the other 4 listeners so that they don't feel left out? I mean,
we have listeners.
I'm not. I don't think we do. Actually, I have noticed there have been more and more people interacting with us on social media recently, which has been fun.
Yeah. Our download numbers are going up. And up. And up.
Well, why aren't they called upload numbers, James?
Well, do you want me to explain that to you?
Please.
Well, I'm not going to, so too bad.
Even better.
Let's talk about the rakes.
Let's talk about rakes, baby. Let's talk about scooping leaves. Let's talk about all the gardening we could be doing. Let's talk about rakes.
Fuck.
I just want to point out to the listeners at home, I was doing that while reading a text message on my phone. I put nothing into that and I came up trumps.
That was so extremely unrehearsed. No lead up, no thought. You made baby run with leaves. Oh my god.
Oh, that was enjoyable. Because I started and I'm like, I reckon I can do the second line. Oh fuck, I'm on a roll. I can clear up the rest. Oh, sorry, the rakes.
There's some rakes in this episode. So your Bob steps on like 11 of them.
Oh, you counted?
I counted like years ago. I didn't count this time.
Oh,
so it's about 11.
That's good. It's good.
Yeah, it is good.
The rakes thing, especially because, you and I have seen this scene a lot. We watch The Simpsons a lot. The rakes thing starts off, you go, oh, yeah, it's the rakes thing. By the time it gets to the last 2, you and I were both cackling out loud. Like, it is good.
Yeah.
It is good.
And like my thinking has always been like, this is one that, starts weird, gets funny, then lulls and gets funny again. But I reckon from rake 3, I was laughing.
Yeah.
Just with an increase of intensity each time.
Yeah.
Like, there wasn't really a lull where it stopped being funny.
I wonder if that effect, that kind of funny, not funny, funny again, I wonder if that has an extrapolation over time that so it goes like funny, not funny, funny again. But because we've known this for so long, we're just now on the increase of funny, and it won't drop again. Or if it does, it'll be a lot further in the future.
Yeah, because, I don't know, you're waiting for that moment as well. It's like, now the regs are, the entire sequence is a payoff.
Yes.
Yes, and then the elephants stepping on him.
With an excellent, I've got here, good Hannibal crossing the Alps reference.
Yeah.
And it reminds me of one of my favourite Eddie Izzard bits when he talks about Hannibal going to a shop to buy skis to go over the Alps. And the salesman says, skis? Oh, no. So I've just sold the last ones to some people. Oh, well, have you got anything else I can go over the Alps with? Got some elephants. What the fuck? It's tremendous.
And then it reminds me of one of my favourite shows, Hannibal, starring Mads Mikkelsen as Hannibal.
Mads Mikkelsen.
Yeah.
That's a name I enjoy saying.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah.
He's a very handsome man.
Yeah,
And
interesting.
he eats people.
That's interesting. Have you heard that he got... This joke doesn't make any sense. Have you heard that he got a condition from removing too much snow from his driveway? It's known as Mads Plow disease.
Oh, yeah.
Mads Plow disease.
Yeah, I get it. It's good.
Yeah.
It's a good gag.
Thanks.
Good work, Nick.
Yeah, thanks.
So eventually, Sideshow Bob, who was staying at the Bates Motel from the movie Psycho, we should watch the movie Psycho.
Mads Plow disease, also known as BSE, a disease from being a snow... Nope.
Being a snow nope.
Do you want to build a snow nope? No.
Nope.
Tremendous. Sorry, we're talking about Psycho.
Yeah, he's staying at the Bates Motel
By Hitchcock.
from Psycho. Yes.
Yeah, Bates.
Yes. And then he goes on the boat and he steps on a rake and he throws the rake away. And then the rake makes maybe my favorite sound effect in the entire show. It is just it's such a good plop noise of the...
It's a weighty splash.
It's weighty and it's wet and it, it's a splash, but it's not like this water splashing up so much.
No.
It's just,
yeah.
there's the sinking noise of it.
Yes.
It's such a specific noise.
It is a wonderfully specific noise.
And I wonder how they did it, because all this, it's always like, oh, we had to get 2 tins of corn and mash them up against each other, one of them with the lid off, it's always something like that.
Well, something I find interesting on the subject of Foley, I learned something the other day about, whenever anyone's bouncing a basketball in a gym in a movie, and you get that ring that you get when you bounce a basketball of the air moving around inside, that like, ring. The first person to figure out how to record that sound, because they had, mics all around the court, but none of them were picking up the ring. And they realized that what they actually had to do was put a microphone at like the height of the backboard, and then they just had someone whose job it was to stand here for ages, smack the ball into the ground, and then as it goes up to the top of its bounce, at the very top of its flight path, that's where they could catch the ringing, tinging sound without any other sounds interfering with it. Huh. And so then they just isolated that little snip and used it in all the other sound effects.
Oh, this has been a good episode of Foley Facts.
Foley Facts, excellent. Next week, we're talking about the early 2000s South Australian treasurer, Kevin Foley.
And then the wrestler, Mick Foley, also known as Mankind.
And then... That's probably it.
Yeah, those are the 3 episodes we have planned for season 1 of Foley Facts. Hey, Nick.
Yo.
Would you like to see my chainsaw and hockey mask?
No.
Okay, cool, because I didn't bring them.
Good.
Okay. So the last act of this is Sojo Bob chasing Bart around the boat saying, I'm Sojo Bob, I'm going to kill you, baby.
Chasing who?
Little buddy boy.
Oh, sorry. Yes,
yeah,
of course.
Yeah.
Little Bart Thompson.
He's like the new Dennis the Menace, man. He's the original Hellcat.
Little Bart Thompson.
Yeah. Now this scene has always kind of like made me a little anxious. Like Sideshow Bob on the bed, holding up the knife, going to stab Bart while the family's tied up outside.
Yeah.
It's genuinely kind of distressing to me every time I see this episode. Just
that's interesting.
Yeah, the setup and conceit, like he's on the boat to murder this boy, and now the boy has to run away from him.
And then it's crocodiles, it's electric eels, it's crocodiles again.
Yeah,
it's all very stressful.
And then he makes him perform the HMS Pinafore.
I really enjoy the way that the production values of this little recital escalate so rapidly.
Yeah.
It goes from just Sideshow Bob to Sideshow Bob wearing a mop on his head to be a wig for the female character.
Yeah.
Then he has a little bit of a costume, and then he's in full-blown turn-of-the-century English military regalia
Yep.
with a flag that then drops down.
Yep.
And Bart's reading a playbill.
Yeah, and some hands reach out and hand him a bouquet.
It is so wonderful the way it escalates so quickly.
And it's also something you could only do in a cartoon.
Yeah, totally.
Which is neat.
And then the extremely weird turn that I'd forgotten of Wiggum, Lou, and oh god, I've forgotten his name.
Eddie.
Yeah. Standing there in dressing gowns, and I go, okay, well, yeah, it is early in the morning. They were sailing through the night. And then Wiggum's like, yeah, you're lucky you crashed into this brothel. And it's like, wait, fucking what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were at the brothel.
Yeah, and they weren't there on, arrests or anything.
No.
They were there.
They fucking.
They fucking at dawn, too.
Yeah.
Is that when police officers get up to that kind of thing? At dawn?
Well, they've got a work shift to go to afterwards.
A work shift?
Yeah.
that's
As
cool.
opposed to a non-work shift, I suppose.
Yeah.
But I feel like this is good. Like, they know that Kelsey Grammer can sing, so they very, very pointedly engineer him performing a full musical. It's cool. It's nice.
That is good, yes.
And have you ever heard or seen HMS Pinafore?
No, is it a Gilbert and Sullivan?
I would assume so, because they're listening to Gilbert and Sullivan earlier
yeah.
in the car.
Yeah, I imagine.
3 little girls from school,
Are we? Everything is also glee. He.
Everything is also fun.
It's also fun, yes. No, I haven't seen HMS before. Have you?
No.
Interesting.
And then at the end, they go back and Grandpa has turned into a lady and Jasper's going to take him out. The final queer coding of Grandpa that is then unfortunately taken away.
Oh, I don't know that he's turned into a lady. He's had long hair and bosoms, but...
Is he wearing lipstick as well?
I think he is.
Yeah.
But it is interesting what you say about the queer coding, because when Jasper starts hitting onto him, Abe doesn't recoil. He's like, oh, this is nice.
Yeah.
Finally getting a bit of attention.
Yeah. So Jasper says, I've got Steve and Edie tickets, and he says, I'm all yours. Mwah. So,
Who's Steve and Edie?
well, I looked it up. I've always heard that as one name. It's 2 names, Steve and Edie. I've always heard it as Steve and Edie.
Stephen.
Yeah.
First name Stephen, last name Edie.
Stephen. So, yeah, it's Steve and Edie. They were a pop vocal duo from 1957 to 2013 when Edie died.
That is quite a career, from 57 to 13.
Yeah. Wasn't there another name that we were going to look up from this one?
Oh, yeah, I looked it up.
Yeah.
We skipped over it in the chronology, and I decided it wasn't really worth it.
Okay.
Linda Lavin.
Linda Lavin, yeah, who Bart has been...
Prank calling for years.
Yeah.
She was a title character in a sitcom called Alice, and which was on in the late 50s, early 60s. And she made her film debut in The Muppets Take Manhattan.
What a weird deep cut reference. Why is he doing that to Linda Lavin?
I don't know. According to Lisa, she deserved it.
Okay, Linda Lavin, if you were out there, could you let us know why Bart was pranking you?
She's still alive. She's 80. So.
Okay, well, yeah, that's why I'm addressing her directly.
Oh, so we'll get Linda Lavin on.
Yeah, Lavin.
Linda Lavin.
Yeah.
A little bit of Lavin.
Yeah, a little bit of Lavin. That'll be the... You've lost that Lavin feeling will be the follow-up when we no longer have her on the podcast.
Followed by Are You Lavin Tonight, when we continue to no longer have her.
Yeah.
If you want to be my Lavin, you're going to go with my Lind.
Yeah. Lavin you is easy because you're Lindaful. Okay.
Jesus.
So this has been Pods in the Kid of Springfield, a podcast about something. This is the start of season 5, baby.
Yes.
Yeah, what are we...
Season number 5! Bonk, 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 bonk.
A little bit of someone in the sun. A little bit... I'm not going to do it, but...
A little bit of Homer's Barbershop. A little Cape Fear's what we got. A little bit of going to college. A little bit of...
Rosebud.
With a sled. A little bit of...
Tree House of Horror. 4.
Pass me the DVD.
A little bit... Okay.
A little bit of Burns there, that's for sure. A little bit of Homer and a poo. Christ, I'm not sure what we're gonna do when we get to... But, alright, fucking...
Jesus fuck.
Alright, that's the end of the podcast.
Okay, so we're on the A Lot of Green Network. Listen to all their shows, they're good. Email, postandthekids@springfield@gmail.com, social media, etc., Words of Wuzzle.
40 wax with a wet noodle, James.
Ah, shit. Bye.
Bye.
In
Let's do an end sting, because that gives us at least an hour.
I feel like
to
every
figure
time
out.
we say we're going to do that, we forget to do it, though.
Oh, okay.
But that's fine.
Maybe we'll do a meta sting. Maybe we'll start season 5 with an end sting about how we can't do stings anymore.
Oh, yeah, maybe. But then we have to get... I don't know. I really enjoy the sting. I feel like at this point, if I broke the streak,
Sure.
it'd be bad news.
Well, what if we do... Here's a little joke that's coming up.
Sure.
Prepare yourself for that.
Okay.
What if we say that we'll do one at the end of this episode, and then if we do, that'll become the A sting, and this can be the B sting.
Oh, the bee sting. Like how a wasp might sting you.
You're just not that bright, Jimmy.
Or a hornet.
Oh, a Charlotte Hornet?
Yeah. Dun 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 dun. You ready for this? Sting.
Very good. Did you ever read that book about the basketball team that lives in a county fair and uses the web to spell out magic, not magic, to use out messages? Charlotte Hornets Web.
Don't believe I did.
That was me grappling like hell to remember what the plot to Charlotte's Web is.
Yeah, I'm hearing it. I'm like, okay, this is going to be a Charlotte's Web thing. Where's it going to take it? Charlotte Hornets? Okay, there it is. Whoop, there it is. Boom shakalaka, he's on fire, etc.